Hello, everybody. Welcome, one and all, to Grey Cup Game Plan on Shaw TV. I'm your host, Mike Valente, coming to you from our studio in Winnipeg, Manitoba, the Paris of the Prairies, and the site of the 103rd Grey Cup. In Canada, there are many big cities. There are even more small towns. This show, Grey Cup Game Plan, is being seen right now not just in your community, but across the country on Shaw TV. From Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, to Victoria, BC, and all the places in between. Over the next 4 weeks, we invite you to join us in celebrating the culture of Canadian football, past, present, and future. We'll have player profiles to show you from every level of the sport, CFL alumni included, plus engaging stories from across the country that explore the tradition of the game of football on Canadian soil and put a spotlight on community. And you know what else we're going to have? Special guests. So let's start the party and go across the West. This is Across the West on Grey Cup Game Plan. I am sitting here with CFL reporter from the Winnipeg Sun, Kirk Penton. Kirk, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So today we're discussing who are the greatest, most impactful players in CFL history. When I pose that question to you, who comes to mind?
Well, considering we are in the Winnipeg area, you got to think of three greats that come to mind. You got to start with Ken Plain, quarterback from Iowa. Came up here after appearing in the Rose Bowl way back in the mid-50s. He's still here today. He won 4 Grey Cups. Probably his most memorable moment is his overtime run to win the Grey Cup for the Bombers. That was when they won 4 Grey Cups in 5 years.
Remember those days?
Yeah, not many people do, and that's what fans around here long for. So Ken Plain, right off the bat, he was probably the first one that everybody remembers. And then in the 80s, when the Bombers won 3 more Grey Cups, you got to think of Chris Walby. The amazing tackle, just a large man. They call him Bluto for a reason. You did not want to be across from him on the line. He was a big reason why the Bombers were able to win. You need an offensive line to win a Grey Cup. You need great Canadians, and Chris Walby is arguably one of the best Canadians to ever play the game and probably the best offensive lineman to ever play the game. So he is without a doubt up there. And then one man who never did win a Grey Cup, but got them there plenty of times, was Milt Stegall, one of the greatest receivers in CFL history. Came up from Atlanta. Cal Murphy brought him up. He showed up for his first practice in September wearing short sleeves, and he's like, I got to go back and get me some clothes. He adjusted to that, adjusted to the CFL, became the CFL's leader in receiving yards and touchdowns. Just an amazing career, and the only thing missing from his resume, of course, was the Grey Cup, but that will not diminish how great Turtle Man really was.
Absolutely, and he was such a huge part of the community here in Winnipeg. So we have some Winnipeg flavor. We want to inject Vancouver into the conversation. So let's go out to beautiful British Columbia right now, where our Shaw TV correspondent, Dunya Tozy, is standing by. Dunya?
Thanks so much, Mike, and I'm joined by Chris Burns, a former CFL player and a current radio host. And Chris, we're talking about the biggest and most impactful players in the CFL history. So who comes to mind?
You know, there are so many. Sitting here in Vancouver, I think about one of my greatest memories off the field when Louis Passaglia kicked the winner in 1994 in BC Place. I was sitting at the 55-yard line, and just an unbelievable pinnacle to what is one of the greatest careers in pro football. And you know, Louis is just such a part of the fabric of the game, certainly part of the fabric of football in Vancouver and BC. A great guy, a great character, and certainly, you know, you can't talk about the best players in the CFL without mentioning Louis, and probably the guy at the top of the list. No surprise to anybody, I don't think. A guy that I had a chance to play against. I'm glad that I had the chance to play against Doug Flutie. I think just a guy whose skill set was just perfectly tailored to the CFL. You watch film of Doug being able to move around and evade a rush and run down the field or keep his eyes down the field and deliver the football. He was just an absolutely unbelievable athlete who I think was just really, really tailored well to fit the CFL.
Well, of course, and we can't forget about Geroy Simon.
Your favorite, Geroy Simon. I played with some of the all-time great receivers. Geroy, I think everybody in the league refers to him as the greatest of all time.
Thank you so much,
You're
Chris.
welcome.
And back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you very much to Denya and Chris in Vancouver. Doug Flutie was one of the most amazing players to watch. You almost felt like you were on the field with him sometimes.
Yeah, he showed up, and then all he did was win. It was almost unfair how good he was. It was almost like, just go back to the States because you're too good for the CFL. But yeah, without a doubt, he's the best player that the CFL has ever seen, for sure.
A few other players I want to mention. Anthony Calvillo, 20 years in the league, 3 Grey Cups, has all the passing records to his name. Really was a stoic personality for a lot of his career, but I feel like once his wife actually was diagnosed with cancer in 2007, he himself was diagnosed with cancer in 2010, he started to open up to that Montreal community, right? And we kind of saw the guy behind the mask, so to speak, right? But certainly a guy who overcame all the obstacles, and that's a way to become a fan favorite. He is a legend in that city. Certainly one of the best players in the CFL in terms of their history. Damon Allen, the man who had that record before Anthony Calvillo, 4 Grey Cups with 4 different teams. One of the most prolific passers. He was a 3-time Grey Cup MVP. Any memories from Damon Allen? I like him because I'm a Toronto guy. He was a great Argonaut.
Absolutely, yeah. Just they called him Gumby, of course, because he could take a hit, just get squashed, and get right back up. He could run with the ball, no problem. He could do it all. Marcus Allen's brother,
right?
You know, he had those genes that were just magical at times, and that's what made him a great CFL player as well. His ability to run and throw the ball. He wasn't like I guess the smartest quarterback out there. He was famous for taking time count penalties and things like that. Yeah. But once the ball was in his hands,
confidence was there.
He did something special.
Yeah, absolutely. Kirk, this has been our first segment of Across the West. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back shortly with our second segment. This is Grey Cup Game Plan on Shaw TV.
First down from the 30-yard line. 3 points separating the 2 teams now. James Murphy, the front tackle. Oh, he did this all in the playoffs. Look out! 76 yards for James Murphy.
This football here was a football that we played with in the 1983 CFL All-Star Game. This is my plaque for the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame.
James, 3 Grey Cups, 8 seasons with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A guy from Florida moving up to Winnipeg, playing in the CFL. How did football become such a passion for you?
Well, it was a dream of mine. I always had big aspirations and dreams to play in the National Football League. Every red-blooded American boy in my neighborhood wanted to play in the National Football League. And I wanted to be like Paul Warfield, who was a star wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins. After a game, the kids, the boys just get in the streets and throw the ball around. I'm Warfield. This is when I was with the Minnesota Vikings. I was drafted 1981 to the Minnesota Vikings before I came to the Bombers.
What was your first impression of Winnipeg when you came up here?
Growing up in Florida, in high school, we didn't get much, study much Canadian history. When I was flying into Canada, in Winnipeg, I'm looking around like, where's the igloos? And I know I sound like another stupid American, right? But honestly, I just didn't have that much, knowledge about Winnipeg. But once I got here, people treated me great. The teammates was awesome. Seriously, this probably been the best decision of my life to be able to come to Winnipeg and play and stay here, play my entire career here.
1984 was a huge year for the Blue Bombers. They won the Grey Cup, and it was an interesting time too. So let's describe what the team was like back then.
I mean, we had a great defense, great offense, great management from the top to the bottom. Things just came together for us. It'll probably never go away. I think that's something when you're having a bad day, you can think about hey, I was a 1984 Grey Cup champion.
The Grey Cup to James West, Lyle Bauer, and James Murphy.
And you look back at it, Winnipeg still haven't won the Grey Cup in 25 years, so it's still that much special to know that we did something that was really, really special for the city of Winnipeg and the province of Manitoba.
So what are you doing now, James, and how did you get there?
Well, I work for the Manitoba Construction Sector Council. I really wanted to be able to make a difference with my life. I think helping a kid up with opportunities with the job that I'm doing now and promoting a multi-billion-dollar industry as construction is something that I can feel proud of. Did you know that there's over 64 trades it takes to build a house? Growing up, I mean, I wasn't a great kid, but playing football really gave me the opportunity to become a man. It taught me how to be a professional. It costs nothing to treat people with love and respect. It's not 0 cents, right? So, and that's not something that you easily learn. You have to learn it. And I think football, professional football with the Karen Murphy regime helped me to be able to be that type of person.
Set pieces for Shaw TV's Grey Cup game plan provided by Blue Moon Furniture.